to extend our end time by 30 minutes. Is that good? Are you happy with that, Ken, or do you want more?
I think let's do 45 because we also have another
45.
motion after this.
Will
And I'll
of the
second.
Deputy Speaker.
I'll second the motion. Is anyone against extending the meeting? Going once, going twice. Okay, anyone abstaining? No? Okay, passed unanimously, perfect. And you can continue with your speaking turn, BP Schwartz.
Oh, thank you. So I just want to say now that we're back on the regular item, and just for procedure's sake, I want to say I'd like to speak in favor of this motion. I think that it really, what it does at its core, and the only reason it's here is because this is the direction that council expressed was their preference. And I think among the preferences that we had access to, or above the options that we had, this is the one that makes the most sense. It allows us to address the concerns about, have we properly considered this aspect of our operations, or is advocacy going to be okay, all these things. It allows us to consider those properly and be able to write that report the council recommended and get a sense of how is this going to affect advocacy, and how are we going to make sure that advocacy, among other things, its quality is maintained for our students. And that is all what this is for. This gives us that runway and allows us to figure that out. This doesn't make anything happen. It still requires everything still requires the consent of students at large for that general meeting that we've said that we're planning to have. This really is nothing but upsides from my view, in terms of good for students, good for WUSA, good for counselors, good for board, good for exec, and good for the governance review. Thank you.
Thank you, VP Schwartz. Before I let Councillor Yang go ahead, I'm just going to let everyone know to make sure that we're not extending our meeting time again. The discussion on this will be capped at 1:25 p.m., so keep that in mind for this specific motion. And Councillor Yang, go ahead.
I give my speaking turn to Member Feifel.
Thank you so much, Edward. Well, I think I want to make it clear first that I appreciate the spirit behind the motion. I do want to speak against it. I find that it has some issues that I feel should be addressed in other ways. First of all, I think that while I don't disagree that the speed of the governance review was appropriate, it seemed fine. I am worried that delaying the election is not in line with that process. I would encourage the Assembly to vote against this motion, as my personal feelings is that if the governance review does hold water, then it would survive at least its ideas through to the next executive term. And as well, I would like to point out to the fact that, at least from my personal interpretation, this seems to neglect in some ways groups that haven't necessarily had appropriate representation. So for instance, science doesn't have all of its counselors at the moment, and delaying elections would make that more difficult. While I recognize that the entire point of part of the governance review would be to eliminate council, lacking that input at a crucial time like this could be detrimental to appropriate representation. So I don't think it's reasonable at this time to move forward with delaying the election. While I think governance review is important and we can move forward in governance review to some degree, I don't see the election delay as a responsible part of it, and I'm worried about the precedent that it sets. Thank you.
Thank you, member. Sorry, I forgot your last name. Thank you. Anyways, Representative Aikina, you have a direct response. Go ahead.
I would like to call a question, knowing that we are not going to be extending the meeting too long. Also, the fact that we've had a lot of discussion on this, even with the amendment, or we just had a long discussion on the topic as a whole.
Thank you, Representative Aikina. Can I have a seconder for that?
I'll second.
Sorry, who was that?
Councillor Cammie.
Councillor Cammie, second. Okay, before we actually move to vote on this motion, there's a point of order. Councillor Macri, go ahead.
Doesn't a motion to call the question need to be like its own point? This was a direct response to someone else.
I believe based on precedent, you are allowed to do we have in the past allowed us to call the question as a direct response, as long as you don't speak something before calling that. Like you cannot be like saying like, oh, I want to say this and then call the direct response and then call the question. So the question has been called and it has been seconded by Councillor Kami. We will be voting on this. I will be putting in the chat again. Once the question has been called, there is no discussion. We go directly to voting. So Councillor Lan, we will go to your one later. And as a note, please react to the thing that I've posted. Councillor Macri, go ahead with your point of order.
There are still members in the speaking list who have not yet had time to really talk on the main motion. I'm not done. Robert's Rules of Order says that care needs to be taken when calling the questions to make sure that it's not violating members of debate, not violating the right of members to participate in debate. And I feel like this is.
Yeah, the only people who are in the list right now are you and I, and we have had ample opportunity to speak on this. So
I have not spoken on the main motion.
But you have had on the postponement, and that was an extension of the main motion. Yes,
I have
but
not spoken since the amendment.
It doesn't matter because you did speak on the postponement, and that gives you that was about the same motion. So you did have the opportunity to give your viewpoints on things when we discussed that we would be amending the motion after we would on your motion. So you did have the opportunity to do that. So I'm gonna consider that you have had the opportunity to give your viewpoints on that. Councillor Lan, you have a point of inquiry. Go ahead.
If this call to a question is passed, is it possible we do roll call for the main motion? Because this motion is very important and I would like everyone to participate in the voting.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Oh, I'm wondering if it is possible to do roll calls. If this
yes, as I said that before, I will be doing a roll call on this motion after we call the question thing. So calling the question, if you are in favor, please do a thumbs up. If you are against, please do a sad react. And if you are abstaining, do an angry react. So sad react for against and angry react for abstaining. Councillor Macri, since we are voting, nothing can happen right now.
I put in my point of order before we started voting.
Technically,
might
I
offer advice, Cannon?
Yes, please.
I don't think the point of order has been addressed, and I don't think it's appropriate for a member to repeatedly use points of order in such a way to guarantee their turns of speaking when the chair rules in a manner unfavorable to them.
Thank you. And I agree with that. And I will give everyone 5 more seconds to vote on it. Again, thumbs up in favor. Against is sad react, and abstaining is angry react. Councillor Macri noted against. Thank you. Mike, can you do that? And okay, that's it. So the motion to call the question has been passed with 10 in favor, and 2 against and 2 abstaining, with Councillor Macri noted against. Oh, sorry, 3 against, my mistake, because Councillor Macri didn't really vote there. Mike, were you able to record that?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so the motion to call the question has been called, and then basically we are voting on the...
So point of privilege, could you repeat the vote count? I didn't get it.
10 in favor, 3 against, 2 abstaining. Okay, so what's gonna happen next is we are gonna vote on the motion as amended without any debate. So basically the original motion with the amendment we made to the bylaw that says on the advice of council. And since this is going to be a roll call vote again, I will be going down the list. And people, please be ready to give your vote. We will start with Councillor Mike. Are you ready to tally the votes?
Yes. So will there be abstentions in this vote count? Or are they allowed?
Technically, we are voting on the motion as a whole, so they would be allowed. Correct, Ben? Yes, so abstentions will be allowed.
Okay, I am ready.
Perfect. Councillor Kami, you're first.
Again, just for clarification, what would a yes vote be and what would an opposed vote be?
So yes would be that you're approving the amendments of the bylaws that have been passed and recommending them to board for approval. So basically, it would lead to an extension of the governing year and moving the elections a bit later, if that makes sense.
Yes, and I vote yes on the motion.
Perfect. Next, we have Councillor Baines.
I vote yes as well.
Councillor Gupta. We will come back to them, I guess. President Easton.
I vote in favor.
VP Dong.
I vote in favor.
Councillor Yang.
I vote in favor.
Councillor Yip.
I abstain.
Sure. Councillor Yip abstains. Sorry, let me just check something quickly. Evan, you're not a councillor. You're not a voting member, right? Just want to confirm.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm not.
Okay, perfect. Councillor Holland.
Voting in favor.
Voting in favor. Councillor Dillon.
I abstain.
Abstain. Councillor Lan.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is Councillor Kong. Gia. We will come back to Gia, I guess, again. Next is Councillor Ma.
Against.
Councillor Ma is against. Gia, you can just type your vote in the chat and I will record that later. Moving on, Councillor Beckut. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. God,
It's okay. In favor.
Fair, thank you. Councillor VP Schwartz.
Yay.
Councillor Chen. Carolyn? Okay, we will come back to Carolyn. Councillor Ragusan.
In favor.
Councillor Devani.
Yay.
Councillor Ismail.
In favor.
VP Emo.
In favor.
Yep.
VP Emo also in favor. Representative Sharma.
Against.
Against. Representative Aquino.
In favor.
Councillor Macri.
Against. Noted.
Thank you. Then Councillor Kong voted in favor, and I will go back to Carolyn. Carolyn Chan. I guess they will be abstaining. Wait, Carolyn, I see your mic is unmuted, but we can't really hear you. If you want to type it in the chat, feel free to do that.
Kinnan, I voted in favor, but I didn't say it. Someone else said it.
No, I did hear you say voted in favor. I think there were two overlapping voices, but I did hear you saying you voted in favor.
I was gonna
and that
say
was recorded.
yip. I was in the middle saying yip, and then someone else said in favor, and it was very confusing. But anyways.
No worries. And Councillor Chen also voted in favor. Mike, well, before we announce the results, does any councillor or representative want to change their vote? Seems no. Mike, can you declare the results?
We have 1, 2, 3 against, 2 abstentions. Arnav Gupta was skipped. We didn't go back to him. I don't know if we wanted to.
Oh, sorry, Arnav, are you here? I forgot about that.
I'm in favor.
In favor.
All right, he makes 16 in favor.
16 in favor, 3 against, and how many in abstention?
2 abstaining.
2 abstaining. Okay, and Councillor Macri noted against. The motion passes. Next, we'll go to point of personal privilege. Councillor Macri, go ahead.
The point of privilege was from earlier when I was asking you to repeat the vote count on the vote to call the question.
Perfect. No worries. Thank you. So the motion to amend the bylaws as amended has passed. We will now go back to the officer, the chair of the board report. Chair Simpson, are you still here with us?
Yes, I am. Hi, everybody. We don't have any updates right now as the board previously was supposed to meet on the 2nd, but we have postponed our meeting to the 13th. So we will be meeting on the 13th at 6 p.m. We hope to have minutes at that time because I know that some councilors were asking for minutes from previous meetings. We hope to have minutes at that time. Other than that, I have no further updates.
Anyone has any questions for Chair Simpson? Nope. Okay. Thank you for coming, Chair Simpson. If you would like, you can leave. If not, feel free to stick around and use some of your lovely Sunday. Oh, they already left. Wow. Oh, no, they're here. Never mind. Okay. We will move to the next report, which is, let me figure out who's next. We have representative reports, so we'll start with the Arts Caucus. Anyone from Arts Caucus would like to give a report?
I have no updates from like 2 weeks ago, but thank you.
No worries, thanks. Engineering Caucus.
Hi, this is Francis from the Engineering Caucus. Just wanted to say we've been continuing the discussions with our constituents about this governance restructure and what they think about the report. And also, I guess I delivered at the meeting 2 weeks ago that we had elected our new execs for NSOC, and in between then and now we've sworn them in. So that's sort of the update from the engineering faculty.
Thank you. Any questions for Engineering Caucus? Next, we will move to Environment Caucus.
The Environment Caucus has nothing to report. Thanks.
Thank you. Health Caucus.
Hi, this is Amelia from Health Caucus. One update we did have is I've spoken to a couple of profs in the health faculty, and they are aware of the housing issue and have raised housing concerns to our dean, as well as some professors that are in charge of larger faculty decisions. So just know that the health faculty is aware of housing concerns and will hopefully be open to any ideas and suggestions from Musa on that topic. Other than that, we are just preparing for winter 2022 return to campus. Thanks.
Any questions for the Health Caucus? Nope. Okay, we will move to Math Caucus. Anyone from Math Caucus would like to speak? I will let Councillor Macri go first, and then I'll come back to Representative Aquino.
MASOC recently had our general meeting where our membership voted unanimously to return to the refund model, as I mentioned previously. Execs have been transitioning. I'll be VPA next term. That's fun. I guess the new president is Mary, who I think was on council for a short time earlier this governing year, so some of you might remember her.
Thank you, Councillor Macri. Anyone has any questions for Math Caucus? Nope. Okay, Representative Aquino, you had one in the chat. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't type my one fast enough for the Health Caucus. I was just wondering if,
Feel free.
with the discussions with, I guess, like the health faculty, if there's any possibility any of the classes that were scheduled in person would maybe be online due to the housing problem.
I can take that. I haven't heard anything about any changes in modes of delivery. I know that there is currently an issue for some fourth year courses in health where I think it's about 100 extra students want to enroll in a course that is needed for a minor completion. But the academic advisors and the faculty have not come out with a decision about how they are going to handle that. But they have promised those students that they would still be able to take this course. So I'm not sure what that answer would be, but I would think that would be fairly indicative of what the faculty is leaning towards in terms of hybrid models or addressing concerns about space and coming to campus.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Aquino and Councillor Kami. Next, we move to Science Caucus.
There are no updates from the Science Caucus.
I'm just curious if anyone from Science Caucus here actually has a question and seeing if they want to look into electing some of the members to lose
sorry,
a council.
can I speak to this?
Let me finish the question first, and then
sorry.
you can. Basically, if there's any empty seat and there's no by-election happening, the societies have the power to choose representative to fill those empty seats. So just putting it out there, if anyone is interested, and SciSoc can appoint them here. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry.
This process has been underway.
Thank you. Just let the speaker know who the new chosen people are, and we will get you settled into council. Anyone else from Science Caucus or wants to speak or has any question for Science Caucus? Yep. Okay. Next is Cambridge. Do we have a representative from Cambridge? No, okay. Kitchener.
Hi everyone, this is Angad. I'm the president of the Society of Pharmacy Students. I'm just going to be speaking on behalf of Shirley. She's our WUSA representative. So again, she is the one that's normally going to be giving this report. Unfortunately, she didn't receive a meeting invite or an agenda. For the last meeting, I did kind of send her the invite personally and sent her the agenda. And I didn't realize that this time around she wasn't added because I was just expecting her that she would be added just because I did send an email and I believe she did send up a follow-up email herself. So again, not a big issue for this time around, but we're hoping that moving forward, we can kind of get her added to the invite list and make sure that she's added for future meetings as our WUSA rep.
If I can respond, Ken, and yeah, my apologies. I didn't realize that she hadn't been added to the council mailing list. That's my fault. I apologize.
No problem. Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's not a problem. It's just something that we're hoping, moving forward, just to be, invited, just because it makes things a bit easier on our end. Just because right now I have to devote all my attention to WUSA and all my attention to my society, and having a rep, I think, helps kind of, take a little bit more of my attention here, because I know there are some really big topics being discussed, and we obviously want to make sure that there is a, Kitchener presence. So again, just want to make sure that there's that representation. I just have a couple of other updates. Kenan, I know you wanted to say something, so I don't know if that was regarding this.
I was just going to say, in general, any member, I believe, can sign up for the WUSA Council mailing list on our website. Sometimes it's difficult for us to keep track of all the emails, especially when we share an account and we miss something, then we apologize for that. But in general, like if even other faculties ever appoint any representatives or new people join WUSA, they can self-sign up for the council mailing list on our website. Like even if you just search WUSA council mailing list, it should come on Google.
Yeah, no, I understand. I was just saying, just because she is a counselor, or like at least a representative, that I was hoping that WUSA could kind of extend her an invite. But anyways, that's beyond the point. I feel like we've already addressed that. A couple other quick updates. So first of all, we have had to connect with some WUSA reps regarding the dispensary. It's something that we're hoping to open up for quite some time, and excited to say that that's well underway. And just wanted to give a huge shout out. And I know he's not here at this meeting, but Brian Schwan, been doing a fantastic job. Really, really happy with everything going on there, and a great individual for those of you that haven't had a chance to work with him. So really happy. He did come to one of our SOFS meetings and kind of gave us like the rundown of what that would look like. So just kind of wanted to give that quick shout out. And lastly, for those of you that don't know, pharmacy kind of follows a bit of a different schedule. We run January to January. So our new cohort's going to be starting this January coming up. So we're just kind of brushing things off, and we noticed that on the WUSA website, it doesn't correctly link our SOFS website. Again, not the biggest thing in the world, because we don't even know how many people actually end up going to the WUSA website and going through that to get to SOFS. But we're just hoping that that could get updated. Don't know if this is the correct form to bring that up in, but did want to address that. So I can link it out maybe or something like that. But we just noticed that the link's kind of broken. So hoping to get that updated as well, in case anybody was interested in going to the SOFS kind of webpage through the WUSA webpage.
Thank you. I believe in general, like if you have any issues, just ask Catherine, send an IT request, or they can help you figure those things out. And just as a secretary note, I believe Councillor Lan left the meeting at 1:37 p.m. Mike, so you can note that. Does anyone have any questions for the Kitchener Caucus? Our campus, sorry.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Angad. We will move to Stratford.
Wait, I have a question.
Go ahead, Vice President Emo.
Hi, how is housing going? Also, did you receive my email requesting to have a meeting with you folks?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I forgot to bring that up. That it was actually on my list of things to bring up as well. We did receive that email, but I received that email through faculty. So again, I don't know if you were supposed to send it to us directly or not, but faculty did make me aware of that email. We were, I think, based off that email, left out, unfortunately, out of that housing discussion. I guess on our end, we did our best to try to get that up in time when we did hear, but I'm not going to lie, like we're not 100% as to whether or not enough people are going to be able to vote or have their voices heard through that survey. So I guess we'll just kind of see how that goes. I mean, I'd say we are feeling some of the effects in Kitchener for sure, but at the same time, there's not as much competition, I'd say, in Kitchener, just because there really is only the School of Pharmacy there. But at the same time, even, for example, individuals like myself, I am planning to live near Waterloo just because there's a nice student presence there. So it's nice to be around students. So yeah, it's definitely a concern, I think, for at least half of our I guess, constituents. So basically, suffices to say, we did receive the email. We tried to act on it as best as we can, and I guess we're just waiting results.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, so the email that I was referring to was one where Ben and I were asking to set up a meeting just to chat with you folks.
Oh, sorry. I guess no. Then we didn't receive that email. Like, what was it sent? Like today, or was it like earlier? Because if it was earlier, then likely not. No, I didn't see anything.
Okay, it would have been a month ago. I guess if you could just put what email to reach you at in the chat right now, I can forward it there. But yeah, the survey is open until the 8th. So definitely you still have an opportunity to get students' feedback and stuff, and we'll kind of separate the Kitchener specific responses and give you guys data to work with to advocate to your particular department. No, school?
Yeah.
School of Pharmacy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
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 Honestly, but yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you both. We will move to Stratford. Do we have a representative from Stratford? Nope. We will. Oh, hi, Gia. Go ahead. Jaya, sorry. I keep mispronouncing your name and I'm really sorry. Okay. I will just read what they have posted in the chat. Hi, guys. I am currently focused on seeking a solution for the commuting issue between Waterloo and Stratford. If anyone has any contacts that they suggest I can contact in regards to this issue. Also looking into approaching wellness services and seeing how we can bring more to Stratford campus. Anyone has any, repeat on, go ahead.
Yeah, I will definitely reach out to you, especially with respect to wellness services, and we can sort of connect on that and see what's going on and if there's anything that we can work on together.
Thank you. Representative Aikina, go ahead with your direct response.
So I do know like there is a service that goes between a bus service that does go between Stratford and Kitchener. I'm not sure like it would like I know it runs every single day of the week. Sometimes it's more limited. And it has drop off. It pays I think for student fee you pay probably $10 because I had to temporarily live in Stratford. So that's just my info. It's called I can send the link later if you wish to look into it.
Thank you, Representative Aikina. Nicholas, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Thank you.
Yes.
The train. Don't forget about the train. There's a train from Stratford to Waterloo, from what I recall. Is it fast? Not necessarily, but all sorts of lovely lobbying that can happen to provincial government and to Metrolinx is valuable, as getting better train services benefits students. So maybe you want to look at getting more GO service down the Kitchener corridor or down one of the other corridors.
Thank you. Anyone has anything else they would like to add? Nope. We will move to Renison Report.
Extended to Waterloo because of some problems with Guelph.
So it's not been announced yet, and I'm not sure it will, but it's been official that Renison has a new vice president academic that will be starting January 1st. So I'm sure there's going to be an announcement that's coming up soon. That's all the detail I can really give because of of the committee I sat on for confidentiality reasons. But yeah, and then if you watch, you go see the back who where they're from. Go ahead, but yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Nope. Okay, we will move to the officers' report. Speaker, which is usually Benjamin, go ahead.
I have nothing to report. I guess I have some action items following up on getting people added to the mailing list. That's all.
Thank you. Next, I guess it's me, Deputy Speaker. I'll update. I was on the governance committee 2 or 3 days ago, I guess, where we discussed a bunch of technical advocacy and constituent versus liaison or at large or whatever that system is, and some other things. And in my role as Deputy Speaker, over the last, I guess, 2.5 weeks, I did lose some bit of access to an email because of some IT stuff. So thank you, Ben, for picking up the slack there and also sending out the agenda for this meeting. That is it. Councillor Macri, you have a question for me. Go ahead.
I'm not 100% sure which officer this question is for, but I guess kind of in light of updating the mailing list and stuff, I noticed that the Students' Council webpage on our website is pretty out of date, and just like there's seats that it lists as vacant that aren't vacant, and it just generally needs to be updated.
Thank you, and we will make a note of that and work on that with our IT team. Next is the secretary, which is VP Schwartz.
Thank you so much. So one thing I'll note on behalf of the secretaries is there was an error in pulling the recording from the previous meeting of council. So we're working with Microsoft to try to get that recording from their end to be able to post it. Other than that, not a lot to update unless the recording secretary or deputy secretary wishes to say anything. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just let us know, Deputy Secretary is not with us today. And the recording secretary has no comments, so we can move on to general orders, which will now be the housing thing, and I will read it properly. The student housing proposal, moved by Councillor Macri, and can I have a seconder for that? I guess I will second. Or VP Schwartz seconded it, so I'll let them do it. And Councillor Macri as the mover, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so this kind of carries on from a discussion we had at the last meeting. I believe a comment Vice President Operations and Finance made was that thought it would be interesting idea if we could look into WUSA running housing in the Waterloo region. And obviously that's like a long-term thing, but I think it's, a very interesting idea that's worth considering. So I've talked about this motion with him. And so this motion just tasks him to look into, is this feasible? And I guess prepare a report with, any options to pursue. So, if it's not feasible, he could recommend alternatives that would try to help the housing situation. But, if it is feasible, then, how could we fund that, right? Like, how could we get the money to purchase land and build like a building on it? And then bring that to council for council to decide where we want to go with that.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to say something? Well, I'm going to put myself in the chat. Sorry,
Can I say something?
You don't.
Oh, I don't have speaking rights as a seconder, do I? Oh.
Nope. You have to put it in the chat. Sorry. I was just going to say, in some of the flying conversations I've heard, maybe we put up a fee right now to buy the land and then build it. I think it'll be better for us to do a loan than have a fee right now, similar to what we did for SLC Pack expansion, where we only started charging a fee after the thing was built and was being used by people. And I would be hesitant to use a fee and rather have it as people paying a rent and we using that rent to pay for the interest and the loan amount, whatever we get, because I think it's weird for us to put a fee on something and then also be collecting rent from people who are actually living there in that sense. But I guess I'm moving quite forward. We don't know if it's just feasible or not, but something to keep in mind, Matthew, when you're crunching the numbers. And you have a direct response. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I guess I was just sort of a one to be able to say something as the VPOF that's going to be affected by this. Yeah, I second this because I worked with Vincent to sort of change some of the terms a little bit and put it to where I think it is at a good spot now that leaves it very open-ended, information collection and sort of direction and figuring out what directions we can go, because this is certainly an issue. Housing is an issue. And up until now, we've been in a position where we can advocate for things, but we're in a very poor position because of the private nature of the market and the inability of government to act to be able to affect things in a more concrete way. So this is to explore all options. That's not necessarily acquiring housing. There's a lot of other things on the table, and is certainly, yes, a longer term thing. And I think that certainly a discussion on whether we should be charging fees or not for such a thing is a little bit premature. But happy to chat with anybody offline about that if anyone has any thoughts. Would very, very much be interested in that. But yeah, I think it's a fine thing, and I'm very happy to pursue such a report and take a look at what our options here. I know I briefly chatted with commercial operations about that, but some of our people in commercial operations that this was coming up, and they seem pretty excited as well, as it seems like a very meaningful thing to be able to work on. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Councillor Macri, go ahead. I would just like to remind everyone we only have 5 minutes left before our adjournment time, so keep that in mind.
And I guess one other thing that might be useful to keep in mind is that if it is feasible and we are able to operate like, housing in the region, WUSA as a nonprofit would be able to offer much cheaper prices than the for-profit landlords, since the only profit that we would be making is just enough to pay for maintenance of the building and have a little bit of extra money for unexpected maintenance expenses, that kind of thing. And my hope is that by putting in some more competition in the market and at a much lower price, we might also be able to force the other landlords to lower their prices a bit, which would help students who aren't even living in this building.
Thank you. I'm going to motion to extend the meeting by 15 minutes because we also have a new business of setting the dates for the next term. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second.
Thank you, President Easton. Anyone against extending the meeting by 15 minutes to 2:05? Anyone abstaining? Nope, okay. Motion passed unanimously. Perfect. And we can move to the discussion at hand. Does anyone else have anything they would like to add? No worries, Angit. Thanks for showing up, and I understand extending the meeting is not always fun. Secretary's note, Representative Baines left at 1:52 p.m. And we will go to Councillor Dillon. Go ahead, Councillor Dillon.
Thanks. I guess this is more of kind of like a question for Vice President Schwartz. But in terms of like this proposal, when do you think you'd kind of start working on it? Would it be like an immediate thing, or would it be kind of on the back burner for a little bit before you really actually start, crunching the numbers and whatnot?
Can I respond, Cannon? Thank you so much. Yeah, this isn't going to be, admittedly, an immediate, full steam ahead thing, because I know I do have, as always, obligations to our governance review and working on that with Ben. So there are certainly other things that occupy my time. I would plan to at least get started components of it, and this is on an immediate scale, get started components of it that are not actively my time, but rather the time of our org, because me authoring a report is not really how this is going to work. It's going to be WUSA authoring a report, and that includes our marketing team, our commercial operations team, that have a lot of insight into no, not our marketing, sorry, our research team. Our research team, our commercial operations team, the research team to do research on sort of what a landscape sweep, what have other schools where they have student associations that have done such a thing, what do they look like, how's it set up, how's it formatted, what did it take, as well as, what are the implications for our commercial operations, because that is a commercial operation, it's a cost recovery, at least on a cost recovery basis, that is a commercial operation. Not to say it would necessarily be under them, but besides the point. So there are things that can begin immediately. In terms of when is it going to dominate my time, I would expect more in the new years, when I would be spending more of my but more of my working day on it. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer. I stumbled a little bit.
Thank you, VP Schwartz and Councillor Dillon.
Thanks.
Anyone has anything else they would like to ask? Going once, going twice. Okay, I guess we will vote on the motion now. Anyone against this? Please type in the chat, and same with abstentions. Okay, the motion passes unanimously with Councillor Macri noted in favor. We will move on to new business, and also Councillor Kami noted in favor. Thank you. Ben, do you have the motion ready?
So I don't have a motion ready, but I'll share the results to the the poll that I sent. I know there had been requests to have our meetings not on Sundays. However, as you shall see, the most available time for people is on Sundays. Yeah. And actually the best time according to, the most responded time is like 1 p.m. on Sundays, which I'll be honest, like my view is I would prefer that we have these meetings early and then we at least get our afternoons and be done at 2. Just imagine if we started this meeting at 1 and then we went until 5. Like that's not, to me, not ideal, but if be it the will of council, you know, it's the way of the road. Edward.
Well, actually, Ben, sorry. My mistake. We need to vote on if we can even enter this as new business first. We need a 2/3 majority for that. Is anyone against discussing this right now in new business? Thank you. I thought Kathleen was against it, but apparently she isn't. Okay, so we do have the 2/3 majority, so yes, we'll let Edward. Well, I'll second the motion, I guess, then. That was made by Ben, and Ben already spoke, and Edward, go ahead. Edward? I guess we'll go back to Edward later. Vincent, go ahead.
Yeah, as much as I hate Sunday meetings, it is the only day where students are guaranteed to have no like academic events like classes, exams, and stuff. One thing I would suggest though is maybe rerunning this poll in January once you know, we get our class schedules, know like if we have assignments due every certain day of the week, that kind of thing, to see, because that could change counselors' availability.
Thank you. Secretary's note, Councillor Gupta left at 1:57 p.m. Edward, I'm gonna go and try and go back to you for your speaking turn. Nope. Okay, I guess I will go. I want to echo Ben's thought of having meetings somewhat earlier in the day, because otherwise the entire Sunday kind of gets ruined because you can't really do anything in the morning or in the evening. And it's winter. It's already kind of sad when days are already short, and I would rather have my afternoon / evening somewhere to be out in the sun. But that's it. VP Schwartz, direct response. Well, sorry, Representative Aquino, direct response first.
Just to confirm, is everything still going to remain like online or remote?
I will let President Easton answer that.
Likely it will just continue online meetings. If that changes, I imagine I would bring it to council for a decision anyway.
Thank you. VP Schwartz, go ahead with direct response.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess I also echo the niceness personally of having earlier Sunday meetings. Although, yeah, again, if people are not available there, I'd be curious, I suppose, if people treated the poll more as this is when I want meetings versus this is when I can have meetings. And then I'll also, perhaps only half in jest, note that if we're willing to push it earlier in the day, even when less people are available, are we also willing to do it on a weekday? It would just be great to have a quarter of my weekends back as a full-time person, but that's okay. It's the will of council.
Thank you, VP Schwartz. Catherine, go ahead with your direct response.
Thanks. Sorry, I don't really know whether this is a direct response or a new speaking term. Echoing Matthew's sentiments that if it would at all be feasible, weekday meetings would be pretty incredible, because as it stands, I know that it's an experience of all of our execs as well as our recording secretary right now, that we do lose a weekend every month when we're already doing a lot of work in. So it'd be really nice to have weekday meetings. Or I know that in terms of daylight hours during the winter, I wonder if it would also be worth our time to consider pushing meetings to later in Sunday evenings after the sun has gone down, so we don't miss any sunlight. And that ignores people not in Canada, obviously, but you know.
Thank you, BP Dong. I'm going to direct your respond here. Please do not push meetings in the evening, because sometimes our meeting run 8 hours or 9 hours, and I do not need to be up at midnight for a WUSA council meeting. Please, I'm begging everyone. But moving on, we have one from at-large member Sood.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to point out that this might be a relatively minor consideration considering this is council meetings, but at-large members can only attend when on Sundays if they are on co-op. Yeah.
Thank you. Next is Councillor Macri. Go ahead. Wait, sorry. Next is Councillor Ragusin.
Hi, thank you. I respect everyone's opinions and preferences, but I think it would be beneficial to stick to the results of the poll or reissuing another poll to get more information, because I know I answered with truly my availability, and while I agree that some of the things that you guys are saying are nice, it doesn't necessarily align with my actual availability. So either really just sticking to the poll that we have now or reissuing another one would be preferable for me.
Thank you, Councillor Dragonson. Councillor Macri, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's probably, given this poll, I would suggest we make our first January meeting on Sunday, but do a poll once the next term starts, because when I was answering the poll, I didn't know what days of the week I'm going to have assignments due and stuff like that, and those are usually due on weekdays, and so that's going to factor into when I'm available. And once I have that information, I might be more available on weekdays or maybe less. So yeah, I think for now we should put the January meeting on a Sunday and send out another poll a couple weeks into the next term once everyone knows when their academic commitments are, because lectures are only one part of your academic schedule.
Thank you, Councillor Macri. And since we have exhausted the list, I think I will let Ben go ahead and figure out what he wants to exactly motion, but I think I kind of agree, let's just select the first meeting of the term and then we figure out when we want to call the next meeting afterwards for the rest of the term.
Okay, so the most responded option is to hold the meeting at 1 p.m. And I guess we should do it. 1 sec, I'm just going to open up my calendar.
9, 16, 23rd, 30th.
Yeah, I guess I'll might as well do it on the 9th.
Yep.
Yeah. And then yeah, it does make me sad to do afternoon meetings though. It definitely is preferable to have some day left, but I shall schedule it for 1 p.m. on the 9th of January.
Perfect.
And I can send a follow-up email on. I'll solicit times again on Sundays, and then preferences of the Sundays in each month. Because
sorry, point of inquiry from Councillor Dillon. Sorry, Ben.
Oh, maybe I didn't see it, but was there a date option on the the survey?
No, because I people asked for people asked for weekday meetings, so I just said general availability in a given week, and then now that it appears that Sundays are the best, so I would suggest of Sundays, ask which Sunday you prefer each month. Unless I guess Councillor Macri had suggested doing another poll to see if we will have availabilities on weekdays, but it's kind of I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm not a survey person, but I find it I don't know how it seems a little difficult to kind of design a survey where it's like, pick your favorite Sunday and pick your favorite day of the week. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, or we might as well just ask for everybody's availability every day of the winter term, which seems impractical.
Yeah. No, I'm just asking because like January 9th is like the one day that I'm not really available. So that's why. Yeah,
Okay.
like out of the whole month pretty much. Yeah.
You know what, it might even be early. Maybe we'll do the 16th.
Mike, you have a hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, since the 9th is like the first Sunday back after classes start, it might be wise to like give students a week if you want to run a second survey just before the 9th, so that they know their stuff, because they might not have a class until that first Friday in some cases, and they might not have their syllabi.
Thank you, Mike. So Ben, which day are you selecting?
Okay, we'll do the 16th at 1 p.m. and I'll send a survey in the beginning of the new year, and we'll get further clarity. 16th at 1 p.m.
So 16th January at 1 p.m. We will vote on this. Anyone against that date? Nope. Anyone abstaining? Okay, the motion passes unanimously, and we will move on to announcements.
Is there still any other new business? Like, can I bring anything up?
You can, yes, but we will have to motion to extend the meeting because we're already at the adjournment time.
I'll just suggest like we can probably just vote canon on whether or not we want to consider new business instead of having multiple motions. What would you like to discuss, Angela?
Oh, well, basically, I just wanted to see, since some counselors have identified that there are issues since council approved the governance review, I wanted to know if council could withdraw its approval of the governance review and task executives with exploring, alternative governance reforms, and especially clarifying the roles of each of the board members and council members, rather than necessarily dissolving council, and making sure that these roles are a lot more well-defined so that we don't have as much of this confusion. But I know that this would be like a very long discussion, so definitely does not have to be today. So yeah, I just wanted to bring it up, but yeah.
If I might suggest, part of the reason that there is such confusion and like almost like hesitance to approve changes and like people feeling uncertain about like the powers that they have in their roles is due to the complexity of the structure. And like, for example, people are saying, well, look at Science Council, there are no members. How can we make a decision if like we're like pointing to deficiencies in the existing governance structure as reasons not to change it? It's like, I don't know. I mean, Angela, you're welcome to submit a motion for the January meeting where we can discuss that in further detail.
Okay, sure. Okay, thank you.
I guess this also lets other people know this is something that might come at the January meeting, and you can gather your thoughts till then. Any other new business?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
No worries. Nope, so we will move on to announcements. Anyone has any announcement they would like to make? Catherine Dong, go ahead.
Yeah, reminder to, 1, fill out the winter 2022 housing survey and poke your friends and constituents if they haven't yet, because the more responses we have, the better we can push to the university for good changes for students. And also email me, vpsl@wusa.ca, with anything about food insecurity. That is all.
Thank you. Councillor Macri, go ahead.
I don't know if this applies to people who aren't in at least Ontario, but you can get your flu shots now. They're free. Keep our campus healthy. Encourage you all to get your flu shots.
You can get them at the pharmacy on campus in the SLC.
I did not know that.
Very efficient service. I got it in like 10 minutes like 3 weeks ago.
I did not know that. I would have done that if I knew that.
Anyone else has any other announcements?
Yeah. Wake up, everyone. Stand in line for Black Friday. It's coming. It's coming in a year.
Okay,
Start
we will
now.
ignore that. Seeing no other announcements, I will adjourn this meeting at 2:10 p.m. Thank you for sticking with us through this extra long meeting.
Sure.
Motion to extend.
Sorry,
Happy
too
holidays, folks.
late. Yep, happy holidays. Take some time
Take
off
care.
and relax, especially your
Good luck
exam.
Happy
on Friday.
holidays. Merry Christmas. Take care. Bye.
Holidays.
My 364 days.
Yeah.